Now it's recording.
On your side too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good.
Technical difficulties.
I
All
know.
right. I think we got everything figured out. So, hello everyone. My name is Julia. I am the host in Holistic Recovery Guidance. I want to thank everyone for being part of the group. And today is such a beautiful, grateful day. I have Sean with me today who has decided to share his addiction and recovery story. So I think we'll go over to Sean if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name's Sean, and yeah, I guess I'll just get into it. So, 2 years ago, I was a hopeless, homeless heroin addict. Didn't even really want to live anymore. I was totally, yeah, rock bottom. Today, I'm happier than I've ever been. Um, I living my purpose. Finally found my purpose. I'm totally transcended my addiction. I'm now at a craving in a year and a half. Um, got a great job. Everything's good. So how I got there, get into my story. So when I was a kid, I grew up around a lot of drinking, a lot of booze, a lot of parties. It's pretty normal for me to wake up at a party. Um, I rebelled a lot as a kid. I'd get in lots of fights. Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble as a kid. But I was also a very smart kid. And I always had good grades. And yeah, so when I was 10, my mom actually kicked me out because she couldn't handle me anymore. Told me to go live with my dad. So I did. Um, and my dad was total opposite. He was with my mom, I got away with a lot. With my dad, he was like a Nazi. He was got away with nothing. He was too strict. So for the next few years, well, till I was 18, I bounced back and forth between, I kind of lived two lives. Like I would get in trouble and get in fights and end up in jail and stuff. And then on the other side, I had really good grades and I was a jock and I played hockey, and I was kind of playing two different lives, I guess, on both sides of the fence. So when I was 17, I moved out on my own. Um, and then I was working for my dad a little bit ever since I was 12. He owned a stucco company. I found the rave scene when I hit 18, and that was the first time I tried hard drugs. Before that, it was just weed. And I was off to the races with that. That was like, I just fell in love. It was, yeah. So for the next couple of years, um, I just went to raves. I wasn't working. I just, me and my buddies made money at the raves, partied hard, and that was our lifestyle. We'd stay up for days, like 4 days at a time, and sleep for a couple days, get up, do it all over again. Um, that was not maintainable, obviously. Ended up with a serious addiction after that. That was the start of it. And then I struggled to get sober. That was when I realized I had a problem. The girlfriend I was dating at the time told me I had a drug problem and it was me or her. So I chose her. I tried to get sober, unsuccessfully. Um, but I went back to work. I was doing stucco a little bit, and then had a drug problem the whole time. I ended up moving cities to Regina to sober up. And uh, in Regina, it was the same scene. I started selling drugs and started hanging with the wrong people. But I ended up meeting a girl and getting her pregnant. And when I was going to be a dad, everything changed. I just knew I had to be better. So I got sober and started a stucco company. And for the next 8 years, I was really successful. I yeah, made a couple million doing stucco. I was doing really good. It's hard to share. So yeah, life was really good then. I I had built a really successful company, but I started after a couple of years, it kind of ran itself. So I started partying a lot again. And And then I ended up getting in a motorcycle accident in my late 20s and got introduced to opiates. And Gabor Mate says there's some people you can't give opiates to that have traumas, and I was one of those people. Um, I was just the feeling like I never felt before. It took away all the pain, everything in life. So I ended up in the hospital, hooked up to the button or whatever, and I was hitting it so many times they actually took the button away from me. So then I ended up getting released from the hospital with a prescription that ran out. And then I started seeking out fentanyl and heroin for the first time, and that was that was the start of the end, pretty much. It was just downhill from there. I lost all motivation. I Over the next couple of years, I quit working. My guys still worked, but I had zero motivation. They would knock on my door to go to work, and I just wouldn't answer the door. I was too busy getting high. That's all I cared about, was getting high. I just lost all motivation. So my company fell apart there, and then I actually started selling drugs again. And things kind of got out of control. I ended up coming home one day, pulled up in front of my house, and police pulled me over. They were waiting for me because I was under investigation and I got charged of trafficking. And so I went to jail for, I was in there for 5 months. I ended up beating the trafficking charge, but did time for driving a little disqualified. When I was in jail, I had all these plans of getting sober and coming out a new man and being successful again and getting my life back together. As soon as I came out, I was right back to the old life. Same people, just, yeah, hanging around the wrong people and doing the wrong things. I was with my son's mom at the time, and my son, they were living with me. I had a son after a year after I had my daughter, and they were with me through all that chaos. We decided to move to Kelowna to get a fresh start. So yeah, everything 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 went good when we first moved to Kelowna. It was I was somewhat sober. I was off the opiates at least, and I started a new company. I picked up a big contract. I had people working for me again. I thought life was pretty good. Coming outside of my house one day, I had slipped on some ice and broke my collarbone again. Then I was back on the pain pills, and at that time I just picked up a big stucco contract, and I had two people working for me, and I tried to stay home with bed rest, but the guys that were working for me weren't very good, and I was in jeopardy of losing the stucco contract I just picked up in my new company. So I made the stupid decision to get back on pain pills to work through the pain. So I was doing stucco with a broken collarbone, and I ended up finishing the job. But after a couple of months of that, I ended up with a serious opiate addiction. Yeah, I ended up getting paid, but it was pretty rough cost. So yeah, it was really downhill after that. The next Something happened in there though. In that darkness, I ended up finding I had a spiritual awakening. All of a sudden, one day, um, I came across a guy named Michael Seeley. He's a meditation teacher on YouTube. He's really good, and came across teachers like Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Abraham Hicks. These kind of teachers, and yeah, I just really had a serious spiritual awakening. It was like I was just so fascinated by spirituality, and I started trying to, at that time too, I was starting to see a lot of dark beings around me. I've saw spirit ever since I was a kid, and it was really crazy. Like I would be, for example, one night I was laying in bed with my ex, and we used to see this quite a bit. We'd see 2 feet walk up to the door. We'd both look at each other and be like, "What's that?" And I'd call out, ask who that is. Nobody would answer. I'd get up, open the door. Nobody was there. I'd close the door, and then I'd see the feet turn around and walk away. And I'm both like, "What the fuck?" So I'd see that all the time, or I'd see like, yeah, lots of dark beings in my house. I was seeing more and more. The more drugs I did, the more that would come around. And I started trying to astral travel, learned how to do that, but I would start going to bad places. There'd be dark beings around me. So that's when I knew I needed to get sober. But even knowing that, I couldn't. It was still downhill for the next couple of years. Yeah, it really spiraled out of control for the next while. Next few years, my son and his mom ended up moving away. At the end of it, it just got so bad, I kind of lost control. We had a big, nice house, but I wasn't paying the rent there. It was my drug addiction was so expensive then, it was like just consuming everything. So when they moved away, things really went downhill. I just lost control. And one day I remember the bailiffs came in. They opened the door and told me I had to get out. And I woke up and I had like tinfoil everywhere and just a mess. So first thing I do is get up, go to the bathroom, and we'll get high while they're chasing me down, trying to get me out of the house. Then I packed up all my stuff, and there was like 15 minutes till the moving truck was there. So all my stuff was on the front lawn. I had nowhere to go. Didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. And it was that day or the next day I was driving around in my truck, and I ended up getting pulled over, driving around messed up. And I remember the cops had pity on me because I told them I was going to treatment soon. I'm getting sober. I was totally feeding bullshit to get off this. Well, it was on my mind. They didn't charge me. They ended up dropping me off at my house, taking my truck. Well, not my house, where my stuff was. So now I was homeless, no truck, had nowhere to go. I built a fort in my front lawn. This was like a nice area too in Kelowna, brand new house. I built a fort in my driveway with my stuff. And the homeowner came the next day and she's like, "What the fuck, didn't we kick you out here?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I grabbed what I could and I started walking. Didn't know where I was gonna go. And then I ended up going to a friend's house for a couple days. Overstayed my welcome there quick. I ended up sleeping on the streets for a couple days, and then I found myself in a homeless shelter in Kelowna. That was rock bottom for me. I never thought in a million years that I would be homeless, but that was. And after about a week of that, I went and knocked on Detox's door and begged them to let me in. I told them I was going to die out here. And they had pity on me. They told me to come back in 2 days. So I did. And I started the journey of recovery. And ever since that day, made that decision, doors just opened up for me. It's so amazing. Like once you decide to get sober, everything just opens up for you. That's been my experience anyway. So I spent about 10 days in detox. They were going to release me soon. I was starting to worry a little bit because I didn't know where I was going to go when I got out. I didn't want to just get out and go back to the old life. So one of the other guys that was in there had a meeting with a place called Oznam House, and I asked if I could have a meeting, and I got one, and everything went well. And they told me I can go there. So a few days later, they were there to pick me up, and it was a 2-year treatment program. Oznam House is an amazing place in Kelowna. The manager used to work directly with Gabor Mate, and the assistant manager's she's like his protege, I guess. She works right under him. Gabor Mate is like the leading authority in addiction. So there's amazing people there. Um, that place gave me, I got to start exploring spirituality on a deep level. I yeah, I started meditating every day. I started exploring subconscious mind, things I had learned about earlier. Um, the subconscious mind. I know you had Michael on here before, but subconscious mind runs 95% of your day. The conscious mind only runs 5%. So I started getting really careful about what I would take in, the music, the movies I would watch. Every night I would put on affirmations and sleep meditations just to program myself to be healthy. That just made a world of difference. And I started reading a lot of spiritual books. And I was also going to a lot of meetings. I found a sponsor, went through the 12 steps, and I started doing trauma counseling. Um, I think that's really important early in your addiction, is to dig up those traumas and just talk to somebody about them. And this 12 steps really helps you do that. So through all that, I was at the used bookstore one day and I found a book called Opening the Akashic Records by Maureen St. Germain. Just kind of jumped out at me. And this is the first time I heard about that. So I bought it. And then I started trying to open my Akashic Records. And I didn't think I was doing it. So I went on the website, Maureen St. Germain's website, and I hired this psychic named Kristen Kalla. She's like world-class, amazing psychic. If you ever get a chance to get a reading with her, like highly suggest her. Her reading was just so amazing. She told me all these gifts I had no idea about myself. She told me that I was a light worker and a star seed. I didn't even know what that was at that time. I was fresh in recovery. She told me that my hands are powerful with healing. I should look into modalities like Reiki. She told me that I had mediumship abilities, that I could commune with spirit. That totally made sense because I could see spirit ever since I was a kid. She told me I was clairvoyant. She told me, and what was really cool, like it was just amazing. She had told me my life up until then, so left zero doubts the Akashic Records was real. But she also, at the end of the reading, told me that I didn't mention her that I was trying to open the records at all. And she tells me at the end that she's like, the record keepers hear you and they're connecting with you, but you give up too easy. So just keep connecting. And she gave me some tips. And yeah, so, and she also gave me some tips on how to get sober, like Qigong, which I do daily. That's really important if you're empathic, to run your energy. It's ancient Chinese healing modality. She told me about doing breath work daily. That's something I do every day. Wim Hof breathing is so amazing for shutting down your mind. And when you're having cravings, a quick Wim Hof breathing session is really powerful. She also told me I learned from gestures from humanity soon. And not even a month later, I was watching Gaia and I saw a psychic named Lauren Cielo on there. And I really liked what he was doing. I liked his work. So I looked up his website and he had a podcast with a lady named Crystal Heineman. And so I emailed them and told them a bit about my story. They mentioned on their podcast that they were giving out a free reading. So I told them a bit about my story, and Crystal gets back to me. And she's like, I never do this, but I feel that your path is to be, I want to give you my psychic development course for free. And she's like, I see this as your path and I want to help you along. And to me, that was amazing because I was looking at the course the day before and it was like $2,000 and I didn't have that then. And yeah, it was really cool. So I've been training with her for over a year. I started doing meditation courses and energy work courses with Praxis in Kelowna. I did a course called Meditation and Spiritual Awareness. That's like energy work. Yeah. and I got my Reiki master certification through him, and also certified to do aura healings. Um, I learned to read oracle cards, and I really just expanded and tapped into my gifts. Through that, I've really, um, really tapped into my purpose, and that's what really lights me up. And I think that's really important that that you follow that, like follow your bliss is really something that's really been powerful for me. Um, I started the New Earth Healing Center. That's where I do energy healing. It's like an Akashic record readings. Um, that's my new business. It's going good, and I don't know. It's really my passion. I also wanted to offer anybody that would like a reading or healing with me. I'll give 50% off if you mention this video. Um, that's sort of my story in a nutshell. I don't know if yeah, there's more things I wanted to mention about like natural healing modalities, but I don't know. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was I will go back to the beginning of your story here for just a second because I feel like I feel like we kind of started off in the same direction. I won't go into my whole story because that'll take a whole nother video for us. Um, but I started drinking at a very young age. It was in the house, it was in the family. My parents didn't know that, I would end up where I did by just being there. And me actually rather enjoying it at that point in that time. I think I was about 7 or 8 years old when I had my first drink. Um, but, and then I laid off of that for a bit, not really understanding alcohol. And weed was, I would say weed was definitely my gateway piece. Um, I don't know, smoking a joint and then going to school kind of thing was how I, started opening up to things. And the first, maybe the first year after starting that, I ended up going down the ecstasy road as well and just doing God knows what with ecstasy or MDMA or whatever, and I think if I remember correctly, the first night I tried it, I thought, I don't know why. I was drunk. I was smoking weed. A friend ended up there with MDMA, and I got a hold of cocaine all in one night as my first go ahead. So that was a huge turning point for me. I do not. The night is a blackout blur, to be honest. There's not a whole lot I can remember. But for some reason, we don't stop there and we keep going. But I did really, connect with that part of just like starting with one thing, and then you take it to like this whole other level of like going to festivals, and you're living in that state, right, of just you're up for days and days and days, and then you like seriously, I would sleep for like 3 days in a row and then get back up and do it again, right? Like that's not healthy for anyone to do. Like that is not normal. That's not how you should ever function. Your body is a complete mess in and out, right? It's crazy that way. So I could really just relate to you saying that about the beginning stages of your journey as well. And I wanted to share that little piece. um, the other question I kind of was interested in is when you talked about I wrote a couple notes here while you were talking. You said you started selling drugs at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the same thing. Um, why? I have no idea. I mean, you get freebies, I guess that was maybe the reason why. Um, but, the one thing I remember, and maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that part of your life, but who you were selling to, right? I mean, it was like a mirror of to who you were either becoming or the people, right? Like, and we show up and we keep selling, right? Like, it's just the cycle. So maybe you can just, do you mind going into that a little bit more if anyone can relate to that?
Yeah. Um, I kind of sold a few different times in my life. I mentioned in the raves. Um, the biggest part was, I guess I could talk about, was selling the opiates, and it is a mirror of who you're becoming, because the people, opiates totally took my drive away. It was like, I don't know. I was always a pretty driven person, and I had no problem working and running a business. But when I was got on opiates, I I wanted to start selling drugs because I guess it was easier and it would support your habit. And I looked at it like it was cheaper for me to use if I bought bulk, and then just stupid rationalizations you make. But I would see what it would do to people. Like, these people were ODing, and these people were like, at one time, uh, I was selling fentanyl in Regina, and it was newer then, and people were scared to use it because there was people that were ODing on it left and right. And it was like, I remember one day one of the guy that used to buy off me, he was saying, don't you care what you're doing to people? Like, and at the time I was so numb from everything, I didn't. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, I don't know. Your addiction just takes you over, makes you who you're not. Um, and that's so important when you sober up, to realize that the things that you've done, and that you as an addict is not who you really are. That's not your true self. Addiction just makes you, yeah, it's not who you really are. And if you can separate those two things, that's powerful. Yeah. I don't know what else, how
No,
much
I
more.
just thank you. Thank you for going a little bit further with that one. It just really connected to me because at the beginning of my recovery, I found a lot of the people I sold to, maybe there was regret, maybe there was something else that was attached to it. I seen a lot of their faces come up through a different period of my time. Detox was huge, and I didn't know why I connected to that portion so much. And I think it was just because I maybe regretted selling to them when I knew that that was probably like, I mean, you know that when they're showing up, that they're really like at their ends, right? I mean, like you could see it. You could see them completely lost, completely broken. And like just not even offering help, right? Or support or anything because you are so stuck in it too, right? And it's just like now, like you and I are like offering our help and our support to the community, to anyone still struggling with addiction. And that's a huge drive for me because, like, seriously, I should have helped so many other people in life and I can't go back to that. But it's like I can now go forward and help as many people possible. And I think you come from the same area of like wanting to help heal other people because it is possible and we want to see the better side of it, right? So that's so important. And I really like that, you're talking about your purpose. I know you and I have both gone a holistic direction with who we are and our recovery itself. Um, Everyone needs to kind of find out what their purpose is. It'll come to them when if you look for it and kind of are open to different possibilities. I had no idea this is where I was going to find my truth, right? I had no idea where it was, but it came to me one day, and that's how I started my coaching itself. Um, but it could be anything really, and I think just starting to be curious and ask questions about things that you're interested in, or maybe not trying something, maybe something constantly keeps showing up in your life. Just being aware of what's going on around you, and kind of deciding on what connects the dots almost, right? and then kind of going further into it. It's really quite beautiful if you can if you can go through the process of having these spiritual awakenings, or finding your life's purpose. And there's so many different, I find healers are beautiful for opening those doors for you. I mean, sometimes we can't see it, but yeah, I did a hypnosis session not too long ago, and she talked to me about my past lives. I think we had a conversation about that. Um, and she was telling me, like, what I'm doing now is just like, it's so beautiful and it's exactly where I should be. And that is so wonderful to hear, like, I, finally got there, kind of thing. I've been looking for this for, I feel like, a lifetime, but yeah, I went on a rampage there.
Oh, that's you had a lot there. I think it's so ironic that we both kind of came from like selling drugs and doing things that we shouldn't have been doing to now being healers.
Yeah.
And that's that's powerful. I never thought in a million years I would be where I am. I never thought I was gonna be big into spirituality. I was so driven by money all my life, and until my awakening, I started to get curious, and it was really that Akashic record reading I had that gave me so much clarity. Like, if somebody is not sure about their direction, like knowing your true gifts, like every single thing she said in that reading came true or is coming true. Like, it was amazing. It totally changed my world. Knowing that all these gifts I have and stuff. And yeah, so it's cool. That goes back to separating who you used to be from who you actually are. Because when you actually step into who you really are, it's like humans are pretty beautiful by nature. We're good people. It's addiction that really makes us who we're not. It just takes us over. And yeah, but if you can separate those two, I mean, that's key to healing. And following your bliss too is so important. I think that really leads you to, there's something so simple when you don't know what to do, like a day where you're not sure what to do, just do the next thing that makes you happy. And as long as it's not unhealthy, like you're living a healthy life, then it usually leads you good places. And that's a pretty good way to find your purpose too. And I think that's so important. That's finding your purpose is, I love helping people. Like, I want to be able to give to people the direction that I got in that first reading. I want to be able to tell people what their gifts are. I want to be able to change people like that. Like when I do energy healing on people, and I can help them work through blocks or help them so many different ways, work through pain, work through whatever they're going through. That's so rewarding to me. It's just, it's amazing. And I would have never found that. Like, I was trying to explore these things when I was still getting high, and you can't be spiritual and be a drug addict at the same time. I tried, it doesn't work. I tried that for a year. It's like, it just doesn't work. But once you sober up, all these gifts start coming and your visions get stronger, and you're like, yeah, whatever your natural abilities actually come to life. And that's like, life just gets magical. It's so cool. I don't know. I love that. Yeah.
There's something you just said, and I wanted to go back to it because I thought it was about being spiritual while in addiction. That one hits me so hard because I fought, like, I mean, like, I would go into, let's talk about AA, NA meetings, whatever, right? And the big book, and it talks about your idea of God, like, all the time. And that, and I went to a treatment center too. I'll bring all of this in here. I grew up, like, my beginning stages of life, like, I was Catholic. I went to a Catholic church. I was growing up in that stage, right, where religion, like, my grandparents, everyone, very religious family in that sense. And I don't know what it was. As soon as I hit my addiction state of mind, God went out the window. I had no idea. And like I would still go, right? Christmas or something, right? I would end up in church. And it's probably not the best thing to be high and going to church at Christmas, right? That's not, we'll go into that later, but there was no connection. You're right. And there's not, and you can't find it. So, when I started to go into recovery later on in life, I would try to connect to God inside these rooms of people telling me like, just let go, surrender, connect. And I was like, I fought it for such a long time. I had no idea how to, but the problem was is that I was still using. And I think that's where that disconnect is. And if I don't go too off our topic here for a second, when you were talking about the darkness, the spirits that were hanging around you when you were using as well, um, a lot of people will say, like, have you ever seen the guy standing on the corner who's like, screaming up at the sky kind of thing? And you kind of make it maybe a joke or something, right? And it's like, oh my God, what, how's he feeling today? That kind of thing. Or, oh, he's crazy, whatever, right? But this is the thing that I see. And I never would have been able to see this unless I ended up where I am today. But when I'm seeing those people now, and kind of like you're talking, and similar things have happened to me in my past, um, spirits show up because you're vulnerable. You're so blocked off from using a big part of your brain, big part of your mentality, that these spirits and these pieces that are floating around us, these energies that are floating around us, have a much easier way of connecting to us because we can't fully process. So when you're seeing somebody who, yeah, is talking to the sky, he's literally on his knees pretty much, and this is the only way he can connect to any form of life. So again, be patient and be grateful and be curious, and understanding that they are fighting their own battles as well, and and spirits really do like to hang around the darkness. So I know all
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. In my addiction, my family, my grandma or great grandma, both sides, they were both psychics, and my auntie's is a medium. And in my addiction, my mom got a hold of her, or somehow it came up that I had attachments. There was like dark entities attached to me. Oh, actually, this is how it came about. I was telling my mom about the dark spirits because she came out to visit me, and I told her about them. And I think I can't remember if she saw them or not, but she asked my auntie to clear me, which she did. But my auntie told me, she said it's pretty much pointless because as soon as he gets high again, he opens that doorway for them to come back.
Hmm.
So it's totally, I didn't understand it then, but I totally do now, because when you're in a lower vibration, those dark spirits, they have no problem attaching onto you, and they start controlling your thoughts, and they start, yeah,
They
it can get
suck your
really,
energy. That's what I've noticed.
yeah.
It's they
And
pull all that.
a big thing too, like the more you raise your vibration and stuff, and once you get healthier, um, they can still come around, but you'll feel them. And like, you'll feel the difference between a lower and higher vibration. You'll be able to tell the difference. Um, I'm pretty, talked about this before, I'm pretty big into like saging, keeping my space clear, and do all the healthy things to really keep the energy clean. Um, and yeah, when you were talking about getting high in church, I that was the worst part. My addiction got so out of control that every 20 minutes I'd have to go get high. So it made it impossible to go anywhere. It was like, and if I did, I was in the bathroom constantly. And try going out with like family or to family event or like anywhere, people know what you're up to, and you come out and you're like acting like they don't know, but it's all over your face. Like, that's such a hell. Like, yeah, it's like a ball and chain that you always got to drag around with you. And I remember wasting whole days, like getting up and just thinking where I'm going to get the next money from to get high, or trying to chase down drugs or whatever. And nothing else would get accomplished until I had that. And sometimes that would take my whole day. So pretty much you're giving your whole life away just to go get drugs and get high. And like, that's like a living hell. That's that's the worst. Once you can break free from that and start living, like everything changes. Can't even live life like that. It's yeah. So a couple other things I wanted to mention too were some I don't know where your viewers are mainly from, but a couple of the big shifts I had, like the biggest shifts I've had in my recovery. Um, one was from Delta Sound, where we went last week. Sound baths are such a good they just melt the shit off you. It's like the traumas and the stress, and you don't even I think it's really important to recognize your traumas and to talk about them and bring them up, but to energetically release them, sound is so powerful for that. Sound and energy healing. Um, Another thing I wanted to mention was breath work. Um, there's another amazing guy in Kelowna, Jeff Sorensen with Breath Army. He has free events online. I don't know if you attended those.
Me? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
amazing.
I think I've posted one in the group as
Oh
well.
yeah, right.
Because I
So
mean, I can't always make them. I try my
yeah,
absolute best to because I really enjoy the breath journeys and everything. And he's local as well. Um,
Wim Hof breathing is so powerful for people with addiction. Like
mhm,
when you have cravings, it's like it just shuts them right down. It's just taking that 10 minutes out and like doing the quick 10-minute online breathing exercise.
mhm,
Oh, that's so powerful, followed by meditation. And I just always feel so much better, like a new person. That's part of my daily routine is breathing, meditation. Then I usually do a little bit of qigong. Um, and lately I started doing cold showers too. Took it a little bit further, and
yeah.
that's better than coffee. It's like you don't even need coffee anymore. A quick
If
little
you do
cold
that in the
shower.
morning, that like what is I'm trying like I think I'm at like maybe a couple minutes now on like being cold, but it just shocks your system right up and you're just like I'm gonna just get through my day. It's so amazing. This is beautiful. It changes like your whole perception in
Yeah.
seconds. So yes, that one works.
All the feel good. I know it's. I tried it about 6 months ago and I didn't like it, but then I got explained to me by a friend, just have a normal shower and at the end make it cold. And I'll go start with 10 seconds, but then try to go up to like as long as you can, a couple minutes. But
Hmm.
all the good, like it's crazy how good you feel. Like all the feel good hormones come in after and you're just happy and awake and alert instead of like, yeah, I don't like coffee. I get too jittery. I really started getting a lot healthier. Like I don't smoke anymore. I try to cut coffee out. I try to eat healthier. It's just I don't know. It comes natural with raising your vibration. Those things just kind of fall off. But yeah, breath work's a good substitute for, or I mean, cold showers is a good substitute for coffee for sure. Keeps you happy all day too. Well,
Yeah,
would
it
be a
does.
good.
I wanted to say something really quick though. A lot of the things like you and I both do, a lot of people consider them as self-care. And so when you're talking about doing these pieces, like, and same with me, I do them almost not back to back, but they're throughout my day because I feel like it is so important to be grounded, to have clarity and being aware of how you're feeling, what you're going through, what's happening. Maybe, not every day is the same. Not every day is perfect. There's always shit that's going to happen. But having the tools like breath work that you can look forward to, say like Sundays is Jeff's breath army session. Not doing a shout out for Jeff, but totally just threw him out there a few times because he's amazing. But things like that, like like doing the cold shower, doing, a little bit of maybe gratitude, affirmations, journaling, whatever that might be. Like a lot of people will consider these as self care. But if you can put them throughout your day, when I go into my work hours, and maybe you can relate to this, my work hours are huge. I get so much done, so much accomplished. My energy's not drained. I'm focused. I'm clear at what I'm doing. I have tasks. I have lists that I'm following. That alone has stepped up like tenfold. If I put myself first and doing all these beautiful things,
Yeah.
What about you? Like, how are you feeling when you're like at
Hmm.
work? What does that look like?
I like to do my self-care in the morning. So I'll get up and I'll have a cold shower, and then I'll do meditation, breath work, qigong. Um, it really depends how my day is. My days are pretty flexible. Um, it depends if I'm doing energy healing or stucco, because
Mhm.
yeah, they're totally different. But I notice if I do self-care, I have to have my spiritual practices are number one in my day. I have to be off to a good start. And then yeah, my mind is just clear all day. It's it keeps me in a good place. And I notice I used to really I guess overwork myself. I wouldn't take breaks at work and I would just go, go, go. Now I notice my energy's getting low. I'll take a minute and I'll have a quick meditation and whatever I need to do to just keep my vibes up and keep in a good space. And that keeps your thoughts healthy. That just keeps everything keeps you in flow state, I guess. It's yeah, it's important.
Do you listen to music? Is it like, do you play a music song, something that brings your vibration up as well, or are you just sitting in like complete silence and letting your brain do the meditation? What does
Like
that look like?
if I take a break during the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I'll put on music. I really changed kind of music I listen to now. It's mostly all spiritual music now or something good. I don't listen to shitty music anymore.
We
Um,
absorb all of that, so it's important.
yeah, that's that's something I started to do as soon as I got into treatment. Was like I listen to like rap and like a lot of rap, a lot of metal and stuff. And I didn't listen to any of that ever since I got sober. I just because I knew about subconscious mind and even movies. I was like wasn't watching shitty movies for a long time, and it was just like I don't know. That's it really helps with your thoughts. But yeah, for raising my vibration, I guess I just take time out and I'll sit in meditation. I'll run my energy. Um, yeah, it's just energy. Quick little like I'll ground. I'll run earth and cosmic energy and clean out my chakras and yeah,
So
that's usually enough.
I'd say that's a very powerful break.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
instead of like a lot of people on a break, what are they going to do? They're going to go eat fast food and have a cigarette. And
Yeah.
probably a pop of some sort. And you look at that and it's like, here you are, you're talking about doing like a 15, maybe 30-minute lunch break where it involves meditation, self-love, care,
Yeah.
powerful energy that you're working with. Wow, going back to work after would be pretty exciting, I feel like, compared to, feeling sluggish and time for a nap. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
look, like I challenge our listeners to take that into consideration. What is it you're doing on your breaks? Why are you tired in the afternoon? Like, look at your life, see where you can make some changes. And there's, yeah, I'll try and post and link a few more things into the group as well, to try and open up those healing modalities and different pieces, even like music that you're interested in. I always go for different mantras or different tribal music, anything like that, things with beat, things. It always depends on what your mood is and what you're going for exactly, but yeah, it really changes. That's pretty much all I listen to now.
Yeah. There's a good one I found, Sam Garrett. I don't know if you found him. He's a lot of mantra and stuff. He's really good. But yeah, it's so important to just take that time out and not always be go, go, go.
Hmm.
And that's what I found too, like cutting out it depends what stage you're at. Like obviously you're not going to quit things like coffee right away, but the healthier you get, eventually things like cutting things out like coffee, you just feel naturally better in the afternoon. And it's good to just start getting healthier, like and stay on that path. And yeah, life gets pretty good after instead of feeling
Before, I hope you don't mind. I just want to go back to something because we're talking about, you know, feeling good today and in the moment. But I do want to touch base on one little piece, if you don't mind going into it. Your detoxing. What did that Do you feel open to sharing a little bit about your detox stage? I know
Yeah.
so many people struggle with this, and mine looks so different from somebody else's that maybe you can connect to somebody with that.
Do you mean like in detox?
Yeah, do you remember? I've asked people
Um,
and it's very blurry, so
yeah. It when you come off that much drugs, like I was just killing myself with drugs. I was so empty and hopeless and just numb. And yeah, I was kind of relieved at the same time because I uh was off the opiates and stuff. And but it was shitty. It was pretty horrible for the first I don't know. I remember 10 days in detox, they put you on like Suboxone and they drug you right up to try to make it comfortable as they can. And I went through that. And then um it's yeah, you just get a lot of emotions that you've been buried. That's probably one of the hardest things to deal with is dealing with the emotions, the wave of emotions that come in after, because it's all those emotions you've been suppressing for so long, trying to run from, they all come back and all that shit comes back. And it's like, that's the hardest part about getting sober is dealing with the wreckage.
yeah.
Um, and then over the next, one thing I can recommend for anyone that has opiates addiction, I went on the Sublocade shot. It was amazing. It was experimental in Kelowna when I tried it, and it's a needle once a month. And I took it, I think three months, and then I forgot to go in it. I forgot to go get my shot for like 2.5 months, and I called my doctor, and I'm like, "Should I come get it?" She's like, "No, you're just stay off it." So super easy to get off. Um, but yeah, the detox was it wasn't so much physical because they give you medication for that, like Suboxone and stuff, but yeah, I guess for a bit it just dealing with emotions is hard. And that's like I tried going to detox before, dry out, and then go back to my normal life. And I really wanted to stay sober and I didn't. I stayed, made it like 2 days, and I went back, and my partner at the time was using and my friends were using, and the lifestyle was just not conducive to sobriety. So if you can, a treatment center is so powerful. Um, when I first got in treatment, I thought it was a 2-year program. Like, there's no way I'm going to stay there for 2 years. It's like, no way. And I stayed there for, I'm like, maybe a month. And a month goes by. I'm like, okay, maybe 3 months. 3 months goes by. I'm like, well, maybe 6 months. And then, yeah, it's 2 years later. It's like the more time you can give yourself around supportive people, and it's really help. It really helps. You set yourself up for success. And what's beautiful about a treatment center is you don't have to worry about working. You can just work on you. And that's been the biggest gift I've got at at being at the treatment center at Ozenham House was I got to take 2 years out of my life to just work on me every single day. And the way they set it up, they're really awesome there. The first 3 months, you have 3 hours a day of programming. You're out at noon and you have the rest of the time for yourself to figure out what you want to do. So some people really hang themselves with that, but they make it like you find out what you like and you do it. So it was beautiful because I could start doing all these spiritual practices and start reading and start really figuring out who I am. But yeah, taking that time out to find out who you are and what you like and really digging deep into your traumas. Um, and being around support is really important too. Uh, I had to be willing to get rid of all my friends. That's something I see a lot of people make the mistake of is they want to get sober, but they're not willing to change. You got to change everything. Like I was willing to drop anybody from my life if I needed to, just because I was gonna get sober. And a lot of people don't. They'll hang out with the same friends. They'll keep going to the same places, keep doing the same things, and eventually you're just gonna end up using again because that's like if all your friends are using, it's pretty hard to stay sober around that. So that's another thing I could really recommend is just being willing to change everything. lose whoever you can, and or whoever you need to, and be around supportive people. That's huge.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. I'm just was trying to think of how to put this. Like and I think you can probably say it's generally the same thing, is that when we started to change our lives and go into recovery, and like you saying, like, you can't hang out with the same people, and not so much because you shouldn't, but when you start to really figure out who you are, you no longer have things in common with the people that are using. I don't wish to hang out with people that are drinking. They actually just annoy me, when they're drunk and, falling all over the place, and you're like, what was, but we were there once, so I get it, and there's still no judgment. But I think the biggest was, you're right. Find something that you like and join the community that does that, whatever that might be. Like, I know you and I, we do like the sound baths and the holistic healings and things like that, right? Because that is something that fills our soul and feeds our soul, right? And that feels good for us. But so many people are on a different pathway, and whatever that might be. So I just want to say this to everyone, is like, find out what your gifts are, find out what your passions are, find out who you are, right? Through reading books, research, find things. I mean, I could go on forever, but um but find out what that is, and then join those communities. There's a lot of different groups on Facebook. Like, it's endless. It is connected to the world, whatever that might be. And just really try and connect with those like-minded people, have conversations with them, connect, see how they're doing, see how they got there, find out what their story, and be open to hearing somebody else's story. It is not the same as yours, but you can usually connect to an emotion or a feeling or an action somewhere down the line. And I think that's so beautiful. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, find out what it is, and then it's super important to kind of to take that and run with it and see what ends up happening. Because if you want to end up going, say, I'm going to use this as an example. I used to want to be a flight attendant. Obviously I'm not, but if that is something that you wanted, you would go and you would follow those people. You would watch what they're doing. You would find inspiration in them. So that's what I encourage, again, everyone to do is follow that path. And it is possible, but you have to drive to do that as well. And you have to be willing to let go of, like you're saying, the friends and people that are holding you back and still stuck in that mindset and in the addiction phase. So yeah, that's huge.
That came up in a course I was just in last week. They were saying success leaves clues. So whatever you want to do in whatever field you want to do, or whatever, just find someone who's successful at it, and see what they're doing, model what they're doing, but in your own way. And yeah, that was powerful for me. Another thing I wanted to mention too, that something I just did the other day, to help with emotions, because emotions are so, when you're newly sober, you have so many of them and you don't know how to deal with them. And that's a reason why a lot of people get high, is because they don't want to deal with their emotions. They just want to bury them. So what I've come to understand is emotions are energy in motion. So they're energy in your body. And when you have a stuck emotion, that's stuck energy. That's all it is. So doing things to move that energy will really help move those emotions out of your body. So for example, the other day, I was feeling shitty about something. I can't remember what it is, but I went back to the Wim Hof breathing, and I would just concentrate on that emotion. And after 10 minutes, it was gone. You can do things like energy healing. Some people use the gym. Some people go for runs. Yeah, anything works. But I guess recognizing why that emotion is there is important, not to just bury it. Recognize why it's there, ask it what it's trying to tell you, and then moving it, releasing it. That's been really powerful for me. Just wanted to
I like
mention
that. Find out what the emotion needs. Find out
Yeah.
what it wants. Find out what it is striving for. Anxiety actually was what breath work really helped me with, and depression. I posted a video in the group the other day. I had a lot of technical difficulties, so I apologize for that one. but it was anxiety, and it was just a little bit of movement and breath work that can help to ground you and kind of recenter you. So that was one thing that I did was breath work for anxiety, and it has, seriously, I haven't had anxiety like what I used to every day on a daily basis. My God, was that exhausting. But it's almost been eight months without anxiety now, so feels pretty damn good, I would say.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Sure. Trying to look and see if there's anything else I wanted to share.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, I think that is the questions I had when you were sharing your story. I think I went over most of mine that I wanted to touch on for that time frame. And yeah, if there's anything else you would like to share, I would like to let everyone know if you are struggling or still in the addiction state, or in, want to look at your emotions, trauma healing, things like that, anything that's to do with you personally. Both of us can definitely help in other way. If you feel more comfortable reaching out to Sean or I mean, there's so much work that we can do to help you work through different stages of your life. I do focus on more the emotion and trauma healing side of things. That's what I really love to do and connect with. So if that reaches any of you guys, let us know. Always message or comment on the video, whichever feels more natural to you.
For sure. Yeah, I would love to be able to give anybody guidance like I got, like I was explaining before with readings and stuff. I do psychic and Akashic record readings and energy healing. I can help move through a lot of blocks and it's a lot of stuff. We store our traumas and our chakras and having some pretty powerful sessions moving that. One thing I did want to share was I just remember being, when I was deep in my addiction, on like full-blown addiction, you feel so hopeless, like there's never a way out of it, like it's never going to stop, there's no hope, like this is all there is. It just feels like there's no way out, and there is a way out. It's like if you do these things we were talking about, you start cleaning up these traumas and you start recognizing things and you start doing healthier things, start putting in the work, like you'll get sober. And it's so nice to have control of your life, to have control of what you do every day, to have control of the people you're around, have control of the things you're learning, like just have control of everything. Like when you're in addiction, you don't have control of nothing. Your addiction controls you. And that's all life is. And it's nice to have that control back. Yeah, and it's important to reach out. I always struggled with reaching out, and yeah, it's important to reach out. That's I know that's awesome that you're doing the coaching thing. That's really recommend people to reach out to Julia and help you with that. But I think that's all I really had to share. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to mention.
No, I think this video was amazing. I think, so many people will be able to connect to who we are, what we're doing, your story. And like I said, if something does click, let us know. We're both here. We're both supporting the addiction community, and the recovery community, of course. It is possible, as you can tell from Sean's beautiful story, that it is possible, but reach out, because you can't do it alone. It's very difficult. I was one of those people that decided I wanted to do it alone. I'll get into that later. But it is so important to have that support and that community around you, whichever that looks like. Creating your own recovery, your story, your piece, everything is so important to share and to love yourself. So thank you for coming on and doing this wonderful piece with me. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It was nice talking to you. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share my story. As hard as that was, I hope people can get some stuff out of it.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. See you later.